Okay. We're live. At least I hope we are. Welcome everyone to the latest episode of John Despises Things That Don't Work Right. To let you in on the latest debacle. Uh-oh. Is that you? That's you. Okay. So I have to fill you in on this real quick, and then we will get into the prepared content for you today. Thank you all so much for coming in here. Thank you, Candy, for giving us the audio is good. Thank you. But the video isn't good either. You probably can't see it yet, but when you do, you're going to see my camera looks like a gloomy, gray, nasty Walking Dead set. That's what it looks like right now. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because I went to Best Buy today to replace the broken webcam, and they didn't have the one that I had before, but they had this one. This one is 1080p. It's the Logitech HD Stream webcam. $100. It's brand new out of the box, and it's garbage. Because if you look at the difference between you and I, it's night and day. The video quality on the other one is superb. And if they had the other one, I would have bought that one, but they didn't have it. So I bought this one, and I'll be taking it back because it's a piece of trash, because it makes me look like I'm going to be on the latest episode of The Walking Dead when it returns.
I feel like I'm way, I don't know, everything's so far away from me. And
Well, I can zoom in on you here.
oh my gosh.
There we go. That's better. So how is Marie's audio? How is mine? Everybody already said is okay. So how is Marie's audio? Can everybody hear her okay? And you're probably going to want to talk for that.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat. I can't help it. It's been a while.
Okay, so they're saying can't hear Lisa.
Oh, you can't hear me? Is it because I'm so far away? Is this better?
This is so lovely. I love it. I love this.
I'm not even on.
I love technology. It's such a beautiful thing. Let's see what, because if I do this, then you're going to hear both of us. Maybe I have to mute that one. Okay, so how are we doing now? Can you hear Lisa now?
Can you hear me now?
Anyone? Let's see. Nope. I figured it out. Hold on.
Do you think it's something that Reno disconnected?
No, it's something I did. Okay. Mic test now. Talk.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, there it is. Ginger said, yay. Okay, here it is. It's just another chapter in the saga of the cluster F that is this live stream. I don't know why it is. I see everyone else. They all have these great streams, and the audio is always great and the video is always great. But this guy right here, the one that streams every week, is a S show. It's an absolute nightmare. So
Okay, well, it's working now, so let's move on.
Please. So bear with me looking like a Greg Nicotero film, and I'll get this fixed for next week. There's nothing I can do because it's the camera. There's no settings in the camera. You plug it in and you go. So go ahead. Whatever you were going to say, go right ahead.
No, I wasn't.
Were you going to thank Chad Krotz for the $10 super chat before we even started? Where did it go?
Really? See, I can't. I have my whatever you call this thing, my tablet, and I don't get to see all that because I'm under me, not under KG Tropicals.
So Chad Krotz came in with the $10 at 8:56, and he said, "I want to make sure you speak on pH versus TDS." We are not going to talk about TDS at all because
we don't
deal with that.
We don't do that.
So yes, you will definitely hear us talk about pH, and I'm going to say things that will probably make quite a few people upset, but I'm not trying to rile anybody up. I mean, it just is what it is. And Greg Bean is being a rascal. He's being a smart aleck, And he says, at least there's no echo.
Yep, no
Just
echo.
kidding, love y'all. Yeah. The lengths I've gone to, it's like the REM song. The lengths I've gone to get rid of that echo. And now I have to fix video. Yay, it's so nice. If there was ever a reason why I should go get that second DSLR like you told me to do, we'll talk about that later. Thank you also to Allie Patton, because she's Allie Patton and she's here. And she says nothing. She says nothing. She just says, here's $10. And that's
awesome.
a wonderful thing.
We love Allie.
And then Dawn Hazard. What a cool name. Is that your real name, or are you is that your fun YouTube name? Because that sounds like somebody that should be like a pro wrestler or Dawn.
I just think of Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, you automatically think of that. So anyway, thank you, Rena. We appreciate that. Reno is going to officially go back to being Rena on the 19th. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I made that appointment.
Yeah, that he's going to have his manhood removed and will be the...
It's been, I mean, he was long overdue anyways.
Yeah, he needs that. He's calling out for the ladies is what he's doing. And, nobody's answering. So...
Probably because Honey's always right outside the garage door, and she's kind of out there.
Yeah, she's... Oh, now Mama Cat's playing with the ball. Yay, this is so much fun when you do your stream in a zoo. Thank you so much to Brick for the 99-cent Australian super chat. And Kaler's Aquatics just says, here's $10. That's literally the super chat. Here's $10. You are the man. I can't wait to meet Bob. There's so many people like Allie and Bob Kaler and Chad Krotz. These people I would love to meet in person.
Absolutely. That would be a lot of fun.
Someday, maybe we will. We are not going to commit 100% because you never know what the future holds. But I know we both would like to attend all three of the big shows next year. Both Aquashellas and the Aquatic Experience. We're not driving neither.
It's a long drive.
That's not happening. But yeah, we want to attend all three of those. So all of you need to make sure that you are planning to attend at least one of those shows. All of the people that we just mentioned. So,
well, and everybody else too, because it would be awesome to meet people.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, we meet people all the time at those events, and they're loads of fun. And it's great to actually be able to put a face to people. It's unfortunate because I meet so many people at those events. I end up saying, oh, is that the one that's, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's the one. It's hard to remember everyone.
I really enjoyed the Aquatic Experience when I got to meet Elizabeth Welch. That was fun. Just because I talked to her.
But let me ask you this question. You had never seen her prior to that, had you? Like you didn't.
Instagram.
So you'd seen pictures of her?
Yeah.
Because when you
chatted through Instagram Messenger before.
She walked up to me. You were not there. Like you were there, but you were over there somewhere. Yeah. And she came up to me first. I didn't know because I don't do Instagram, so I didn't know that was her. She introduced herself, but then when you walked up, you were like, "Is that Elizabeth Welch?" Like you knew.
Yeah, yeah.
So
that was awesome. I
thought you were a genius when you saw that. Matt Branham upgraded to the juvenile level. He is now a juvenile member of the channel. And Melissa Jeswald says,
did you do Devlin's Fish?
Buy Rena a treat for me. No, I did miss that. With the $2. Hey, you with the pair, the exercise pair.
Thank you.
That's absolutely adorable. We got to get through these because, good Lord, they're all popping through. Robert Egan with the $5. Happy holidays to you too, my friend. My Thanksgiving was a bit boring. Yours was spent out of town.
In a hotel room.
But the first part of the day was good.
Yeah, it was yummy.
Jamie McDonald gives $5 and says it's for you, not
Jamie,
to spend on me.
I haven't seen you on here in forever. That's awesome to
Candy
hear
Overhaul's
from you.
biggest fan has not been in here. I don't understand what is happening with the chat, but it won't let me scroll through super chats, which is really frustrating. But simply nobody says, I just want to hear you say my name.
I love that.
There
Simply
you go.
Nobody.
There it is.
That's an awesome name.
You just got your name said twice. So that is cool. So Of course, I just glance down at the chat and it says, why you don't like IFG? There was never the words ever to come out of my mouth that said I don't like IFG. Sometimes I'm curious to know why he doesn't like me, but hey, that's another conversation. Fish Room Fever with what looks like popcorn and the $1.49 super chat. Okay, listen, folks. We're going to have to separate from the super chats for just a minute.
Aw.
If
Hi, Priscilla.
If anyone contributes super chats, we will shout you out. Of course we will, because you're taking money out of your pocket and for no reason whatsoever putting it into ours. So you can definitely be assured we will get to you. But if we're going to do a live stream that is nothing but super chats, it's great for our pocketbook, but it's not good for the people that are watching. So let's move on, shall we? I don't have anything prepared. So let's just get into what's going on. Really, my what's going on is going to be something you're not going to want me to talk about, but I'm going to do it anyway. But I want you to have what's going on first because you haven't been here in like a month.
My gosh, I've had a lot going on. Let's see, I went to Delaware a couple weeks ago for a field hockey practice for my daughter. And on the way home, decided to stop by Hans and, go visit Hans, see how he's doing. And while I was there, I had to pick up 3 more discus, and I did that because I had 2 of them that were a little bit, they just weren't growing as fast as the others, and I didn't want to have a huge difference in size with them. It's not like they were sick or anything, they're not weak, they just weren't growing as fast, and I think it's because the others were just more dominant in getting to the food quicker and stuff. They weren't hiding, they were going all over the tank just like the other ones, just fine. But I took 2 of them out, and I'm just trying to fatten them up and get them bigger and maybe hopefully put them back in there later. But I added the other 3. I got 4 inchers, and when I had originally got the discus, they were 2.5 inch, but the ones I have now are already 4 inch, so I wanted to make sure I added the same size, and they're doing so good. And of course, while I was there, I had to pick up some discus food from Hans because he has the best discus food ever. They tear it up, they go crazy, they grow super, super fast, and if you have discus, I definitely recommend getting some food from Hans. He does ship it. And if you want discus, I recommend getting discus from Hans before anybody else. But yeah, so I did that. I stopped by another fish store kind of while I was around that area. I didn't get anything. I wasn't really happy with what I saw. But then, let's see, Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah, I went to Richmond for a few days for my daughter. There was a field hockey, like a big tournament for colleges to come out and like from all over the U.S. And it was a pretty good turnout. She did really, really good. She's had 11 colleges reach out to her, and 3 of them are big deals. So, yep, that's exciting. And yeah, other than that, I've just been running up and down the East Coast.
There's going to be multiple college visits and everything else here coming up shortly.
Yeah.
As far as what's going on with me, if this is your first time joining us, we don't have as many people with us tonight because we didn't have the king of all lead-in live streams to help us out to bring more people here with us today. But in the event that this is your first time joining us, we do a little recap every single week of what's been going on with us in the fish room, what we've been doing. And then we move into a topic of the day. And the topic of today is going to be the water parameters. But before we get into that, I need to do my what's going on. Aside from all of the BS that's happening with technology here, what I said earlier actually was a thing. She actually said I should get a second camera. And when I say a second camera,
Oh, you mean the
the big cameras.
Canon ones? Yeah.
We have,
I did say that.
I am currently using a Canon SL2, not right now, obviously. That's what I use for all of our content that we upload. Live streams are done through webcams that apparently one of them is a piece of junk. And so with all of the frustration that we've been having with these webcams, I told her, well, I'm going to have to go and get another webcam. And I said, but if I need to, I can use the DSLR in the meantime. But then I was like, well, it wouldn't be fair if I had, or you had a DSLR and the other one had the crappy webcam. So we started talking about the idea of a second camera. And I said to you, well, I'll just get the same one. I really like it. The Canon SL2, I like it a lot. The image quality is fantastic. A little slow when it comes to focusing for images, but I like it. I like it a lot. And then your words, she's becoming more and more like me every day. Your words were, well, if you're going to get another one, you might as well upgrade.
I did say that. That's
all I needed to hear. So I've already heard, or I've already seen some people with some suggestions. I think somebody, Sony A7i, yeah, that's the one Jimmy uses. Actually, isn't that the one Jimmy's selling? I'm not sure. Canon 5D Mark III. No, I'm going to go with the 90D. I am a DSLR guy. I am a fan of DSLRs. I do not think they are going out anytime soon. DSLRs are going to be with us for a long time. They're very easy. I like the body. I like the feel. That sounded weird, but get a hold of yourself, folks. I like the body of the 90Ds and the 80Ds and all of those. And my favorite YouTuber is Casey Neistat, and he's been using 80Ds for like 3 years. And before that, it was the 70D. And now they have the 90D, so that's what I'm going to go with. I don't know when I'm going to do it, though, because we might have to buy another vehicle. And it's just a whole racket. The whole life is just money, 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 money. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Roy S. says, nothing like watching a live stream while setting up and planting a new tank that makes me want to spend money.
Is he drinking the water out of my tank?
Even without the co-op leading you. I don't know what he's doing. He's like, what, me? So anyway, yeah, now that we're done talking about cameras, I do want to talk about, it's hot in here and it's making me itchy. I mentioned this on one of the Saturday streams. It was either with Bob on his channel, or it was here. I don't know. I don't know when it was that I mentioned it, but we are starting a new series of videos, and I am going to announce it now, because then there's no turning back. Not that there was going to be any turning back. So I had an idea, and I want to make sure I didn't miss a super chat, because I think I might have. And I don't like to do that.
Quite a few.
Okay, well, we will make sure we get to all of them. Don't even worry about that. Oh, good grief. Here they are. Yeah, let me get through these real quick. I'm really sorry, folks, because I don't want to forget them. That's the problem. Eric Furlow, thank you for doing these weekly streams. Thank you for coming and watching them. And you super chat every single time, so you are the best. Chelsea Riley says, $9.99 is coming out of my pocket and going into yours. Both your lovely faces in HD on live stream. Yes, please. That's too kind. That's being too sweet to me. You want to say that to her, but you feel bad for me, so you say both of us. I know how it works. And then the Fish Tank Barn.
Take a compliment.
He has upgraded his super chats to $10 now. Hello, we're going to get lots of ice cream.
Lots of ice cream.
Ice cream fun. When does your daughter have to decide on college? I'm planning on putting my SL2 as a live stream camera. I bought the cam link and cords. Just haven't figured it out. Yeah, see, you must be on a Windows computer. With the Mac, I just plug it in and it works. I tested it out the other day and it just worked. So, and it was gorgeous. The picture was spectacular, but you know, I couldn't have one be garbage and then the other be normal, but yet here we are. My tank doesn't even look blue. It looks bright blue. Look at this. Look at the difference between the two cameras, folks. Look at that. If that's not night and day, I don't know what is. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, it's actually with my setup here, it's very easy to get the DSLRs working. It's just a USB. That's all. So anyway, let me see. I want to make sure I'm totally caught up on those before I move on. African American Cichlid, not Fishy Biz or Mr. 3000, but I am a member on my main. The mystery has yet to be solved. Thank you for that. I'm going to figure it out. Naked Reefer with the $5. Your sound and video is spot on tonight. Good job. Thank you all very much. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. That's all I needed to hear right there. Naked Reefer, you made my night. Robert Egan with the $5. The Bears are beating the Cowboys. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
I like the sound of that. And we will now lose half of our viewers. And I think we are caught up. Somebody said buffering. Yeah, it's green here, so I don't really know.
It did for me a little bit ago.
Okay. We're starting a new series of videos, and the reason why we're doing it is to mix things up a little bit.
Wait, somebody just asked me a question. It says...
People say I'm rude to her.
No, it says... Lisa, what is the Nano underneath the discus tank? Well, that is actually... It's kind of a funny story. I had gone out and bought this Nano tank, set it up, put plants in it, aquascape, I can't even talk, scaped it, made it look all cute, and added all this tannin stuff in it, and the
Grr.
Plants. Huh?
I said grr. I don't like that.
And I was cycling it, and then all of a sudden I noticed I had 2 fry. I don't know where they came from, and some snails. So I was like, this is just going to be my
You're
whatever.
wrong. There's actually 4 fry in there. I counted them the other day. We don't know what fry they are.
I have no clue. I don't know. So it's going to be my mystery nano tank. I have no idea what they are, but I have snails and fry.
It's
I'll
one
let
of
you
those.
know.
It's one of those
In the
tanks that
future.
has add water and have fish tanks.
It's interesting.
Who knows where they came from?
I didn't want to change a thing. I was like, this is different. This is like a little mystery tank. I'm curious to see how these little fry do, because they were like wigglers when I first saw them. They weren't even fry. They were teeny tiny. It was almost like they had just, I really have no clue. So there you go.
Well, and somebody on the topic of fish over there, I think it was Mr. B earlier, mentioned liking the small fish that are in your discus tank. Those are rummy nose tetras, one of my personal favorite fish on planet Earth. They were a gift from the River Life, who was going to be coming up after us at 10:30. But the interesting thing about those, you'll never see it in this live stream because you're not up close enough. There is one fish in there that is not a rummy nose.
I know. It's
But he
so
thinks he
funny.
is. I think it's an ember tetra. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's an ember tetra. And he just swims around in schools with the rummy nose, and it's adorable. And so, we're going to
He thinks he's a rummy nose, so we're just going to go ahead and let him be a rummy nose.
keep him in there and let him go for life.
Yeah.
Laura Vega, I have only recently subscribed to your channel, but I love you guys. Thanks for all the knowledge. Very sweet of you, and thank you so much for the $10. That is very, very generous of you. People are saying funk. That means we know who's in here, right? There's only one reason to say that. The guy that wanted to rile everybody up on Sunday night, the guy that wanted to cause all kinds of controversy. I'm joking with you. If I knew your real name, I would say your real name. I'm joking with you. You didn't cause any controversy, and you shouldn't have made anybody mad. If they were, then just have them talk to me, because they don't know what they're talking about.
What are you
if they're mad
talking
at you.
about? Am I
Aquafunk.
lost?
Aquafunk.
Oh.
He was talking all kinds of stuff about channels with over 100,000 subscribers, making everybody all mad. But no, he wasn't. I'm just joking. He was talking about that, but he wasn't making anybody mad because people's feelings are too fragile. They need to not be mad at every single little thing. Can I talk about the new series now? Can I do that, or do you want to? Okay, I can do that now. I know what that look means. So.
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about something else.
Go right ahead.
I'm just kidding.
The idea here is, folks, I'm not talking about any other YouTube channels when I say this, okay? I'm talking about us. I'm talking about me, and the camera's too close to me. It's making me feel weird. And now I messed up yours. Good grief. The fish tube hobby, which is what it is for me. This is not how I make my living, although I wish I did. This is not how I make my living. It is still something that I very much consider to be a hobby, and it's a hobby that pays me back for the money that I put into it, which is a beautiful thing. But if I'm being honest with you, it's getting a little stagnant. It's getting a little stale. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about me. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And that, you can only do that for so long before things tend to get a bit boring. So we're going to mix things up. We're going to do a series of videos. The first episode, unless we continue to have all of these technical issues, even though this series is going to have nothing to do with this setup here, this series is going to premiere January 5th.
Oh, we have a premiere date?
We have a premiere date.
I didn't even know we had a premiere date.
We're not going to schedule it as a premiere on YouTube. Not that I don't think those are cool, but it's going to go up, and it's going to go up January 5th. And that is all I'm going to tell you about it. I'm not going to tell you what the series is. I'm telling you, you have not seen anything like this on our channel. And to my knowledge, you haven't seen anything like this on FishTube, period. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, then that's fine. What movie is that from? And if I'm wrong, and I'm never wrong, they're heading for the fire swamp. What movie is that from? Anyway, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. You don't know the answer to that movie. I haven't seen anything like this, but we're not going outrageous, folks. It's outside the box thinking, yes, but it's not like transforming this channel into something else or anything like that. No, these are fish keeping videos. They are just a fish keeping video done in a different way. And her giggling drives me crazy.
What?
Welcome to my life, folks. So,
that was just mean.
Because you're giggling in my face and it's distracting me. It is not Pulp Fiction. It is The Princess Bride, aquariums maintained by Andy.
Oh,
Guessed
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, good pull on that one. So yes, this series is going to come out January 5th. That is a Sunday. That will be the first episode. And the only thing I'm going to tell you about it, and we are not going to get a copyright strike because there is periods in between it because it's an abbreviation. The title of this series has 4 words. Okay? And the initials are TOOL. Tool. Hello. Not Maynard James Keenan Tool, one of my favorite bands, but Tool. TOOL. We're going to have to put the apostrophes in there. Otherwise, not apostrophes. What? The periods in there. Otherwise, they probably would nail us for that because they do that. Gwyneth Paltrow just sued another YouTuber for a similar thing. Yes.
I never heard of
Gwyneth
that.
Paltrow is known for her lawsuits, but that is what's happening. We are filming next weekend, the entire weekend straight for this new series, and it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait for it. If you can figure out what,
wow.
if somebody guesses it, don't let them know that they guessed it. What?
It's close.
Y'all can guess all you want, but I promise you will not guess what TOOL TOOL stands for. In fact, stop guessing because she's going to give it away
I
if
can't
somebody
help
does guess it.
it.
But if you can figure out what that is, then you might know what the series. If you know the name of the series, it's not going to really. You're not really going to know anything because you're still not going to know what we're going to be doing. But it'll be a pretty good hint if you know what it stands for. That'll help you out a lot. But anyway, aquariums maintained by Andy. Can't wait for the new format. Thank you. I hope you are excited. We are going to be hyping it up because I really do think that this is going to be a series that is going to. I think it's going to change our channel. I really do. And I think it's going to change it in a positive way. I don't mean to say that like all of a sudden we're going to become a cooking channel. No. 100% fish keeping content. That's what it is. It's just a different way of delivering it. That's all. And it's going to be fun. The whole idea is to bring you fish keeping content. We're going to start off with kind of the bare bones basics. Bob said Tennessee Organization of Locksmiths. What? How did you guess, Bob Steenfott?
Oh boy.
It's definitely not that, I promise you. But it is starting off at the bare bones basics with a different delivery system. That's all it is. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to record it, and I am excited to release it. And I think you are going to enjoy it too. It's not going to be anything like Michael Eats. I haven't watched his videos yet, but I think that's cool that he's doing that because he's a guy that loves to eat. And apparently he's a good chef. So there you go. So anyway, we got to get into the main topic for today. I don't have a video shout out to do. Maybe I'll think of one.
I do.
Okay, good. You're a better person than me. So here's the deal.
Can I say my video shout out?
But it's not that time yet. We do that after.
Okay.
We do that after the main topic. This is going to be a difficult one, folks, and I'm going to be honest with you because I am completely overwhelmed right now. My big boy job is killing me a little bit more every single day, and it is just getting worse, which the harder the job is for me, the more money I make. So that's actually kind of a good thing. But it's been very overwhelming. And then with everything else going on with this new series and all that, I've been writing it like crazy. I've been completely overwhelmed. So I am totally unprepared for today's topic. However, I think we can get through it, and I think we can do it without any problems. Hung Chow, did Lisa pre-order the Cybertruck? I sure did. No, but you want to know something interesting, Hung Chow? I watched the reveal of that truck because of you. I didn't even realize that it was happening, but I saw you mention that either in my stream or in Rax, and I watched it, and I thought it was a joke the whole time. But the more I look at it, the more I kind of like it. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, what I did yesterday, because I was not prepared for the stream, typically, I know it might not seem like it because I'm all over the place because I'm usually dealing with technical issues. I spend quite a bit of time prepping for this stream. I have stuff laid out for me. I know what I'm going to talk about. I know the topics that we're going to do. I know what you're going to do, what I'm going to do. And we have it all laid out on a nice little pages document, and it works out really nice. But I don't have that today because I've been so overwhelmed. I still have to bring you a show, right? We can't just depend on answering chat because sometimes we get into trouble doing that. So what I decided to do was I decided to throw out a perk to my alpha members. Now, please don't get discouraged. I realize this is the highest level of our channel membership tiers. I get that. I understand it is a very exclusive club that is at that level. But I did that because one of the perks of that member level is to be able to steer the show. You tell us a video that you want us to do, and we will do it. And so I sent out a message yesterday to my alpha members, and I said, hey, what do you want to see us talk about on the stream tomorrow? And Jerome, I'm going to assume his last name is Huff. I hope he's here. tonight, but he said that his bedtime is 8. So it's probably not here, but maybe he will watch this on replay. And hopefully he makes it through 35 minutes of blabbering and gets to this spot here, because we're going to talk about it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up on the screen. Now, if you're watching this on your phone, it's going to be teeny tiny and you're barely going to be able to see it. But I thought it would be a nice little effect to put it up here on the screen so that you can follow along with us. This is a very long message, and it's one that it's going to probably take us a little bit of time to get through. And Lucas Bretz doesn't answer me for 48 hours, and then he decides to answer me while I'm live on YouTube. Thank you, Lucas. He was just verifying that, yes, he will indeed be on We Need to Talk this coming Saturday. 2 days from now, 8 p.m. Eastern. Lucas, if you're here, it's 8, not 7. I don't know what time that is for you. I think you're in Indiana. I don't know what. But anyway, you beautiful people that are here watching tonight, hopefully you will come and join us on Saturday night to hang out with me and Lucas. It'll be a lot more entertaining than me and Bob.
J Huff is here.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Cool. He got his wife. He said he was going to have to ask permission from his wife. It's in the message, folks. So he starts it off, and he's a brand new Alpha member too, which is very, very cool. Thank you so much for that. We never expected to get even one person at that level, and we have 3, and it's unbelievable. So we're going to take this bit by bit. He says, I think I would like to talk about water quality and all that goes with it, such as testing, which tests do I need to do most, pH, ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, etc. Water conditioners do I need for African tank, a regular community tank, or a South American tank. Basically what Jerome has done with this message is he's basically said, listen, you bald freak, I want you to go through every aspect of fish keeping all in one live stream. That's what he's done, but we're going to do our best to get through that after I shout out Greg Bean, John and Lisa's new show doing fish keeping in the voice and the language of Samuel L. Jackson in Snakes on the Plane. If I could possess 1/10 of the cool that Sam Jackson has, I'd be all right. I mean, Nick Fury, come on. All right. Are you prepared for this at all? Would you like to start off with that first statement, or do you want me to go?
You've been doing all the talking.
So you criticize me for that, and then you say you don't even want to do the talking. So try to
say that. He's just saying that because he wants to do all the talking.
I do like to talk. Have you figured that out yet? I would like to do this every single night. But unfortunately, anyway. So we're going to take this bit by bit. And while I move on to different bits, I'm going to put it back on the bigger size screen because y'all probably can't see that anyway. He wants to talk about what is the most important things to test. Now, I can tell you this, and I can tell you this with her too, because she learned fish keeping from me. And I've been doing it for a long time. I'm absolutely no expert. I kill lots of fish. I do not test for GH and KH, TDS, and all that stuff. I don't do it. I never have. We bought the testers. We were testing for it. They never seemed to work right, ever. And we realized it just didn't make any sense. There are situations where it does make sense, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. pH, ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, absolutely critical. You will find that ammonia, nitrite, you're going to be testing for quite a bit in the very beginning of your aquarium's life. And if you are a new fish keeper, you're going to find yourself testing for those two things a lot because you're going to struggle to keep ammonia down in your tank because you're not going to know how ammonia gets taken down. And so you're going to probably, I'm not saying you, Jerome, I'm saying any new fish keeper is probably going to make a lot of mistakes in trying to make ammonia go away. Okay? So having the ability to test for ammonia and nitrite during the cycling process is absolutely critical. After the cycling process is done, then you would only ever really test for those things if you are seeing that there's a problem in your tank. Your water starts getting cloudy. Your fish are gasping for air. Uh-oh, what's the problem? You're going to be checking for ammonia and nitrite. It's usually going to be ammonia that's going to pop up. Nitrite, I've never in my life, and maybe it's just me, but I've never had a problem in a tank that's an established tank and been like, oh my God, it's because the nitrites are so high. I've never had that, but I have had ammonia get up too high because you either fall behind on maintenance or maybe you add a bunch of fish or whatever it is. I have had that happen, but never with nitrites. So that leaves pH and nitrates. Nitrates are going to be something that you're going to be testing for as you're gaining experience in this hobby, as your tank establishes itself, and as your nitrates, you're going to be able to see, well, that's rude to do on camera. You're going to be able to see the tendencies of the nitrates in your tank based on how much you're feeding, how much your fish are pooping, how much your aquarium is processing ammonia and nitrite into nitrate. You're going to be wanting to test for nitrates to see when it gets up to that level where you should step in and do your water change to make sure that you bring that back down. What parts or what level is it that we believe you need to be starting to pull out the buckets and the hoses? 40 parts per million. Before 40 and 50, or between 40 and 50, that's when you need to start reacting. If you can keep it 25, it's not time to panic. Nitrates are almost always going to be present. Don't panic if they are. Signs of nitrates in an aquarium is a sign of a healthy aquarium. So don't panic if you find nitrates. You're not going to want to keep your nitrates at absolute zero at all times. You're just not going to be able to do that. Now, you can keep them at bay for a lot longer using things like live plants and stuff like that to keep nitrates down. But you asked about an African tank, so I'm assuming you don't have any plants in there. So we're talking about a plantless tank, something that's going to not automatically maintain the nitrates level for you, right? Are we right here? Your pH is also something that you're going to want to monitor regularly because you're going to want to start to see what causes swings in pH because, again, a healthy aquarium is an aquarium that maintains a steady pH. pH swings are the death of fish. We want to maintain consistency. So you're going to want to make sure, oh, when I do this to my tank, it causes a big pH swing. Well, you're not going to want to do that anymore. You're going to want to avoid that. So testing for pH, again, in the beginning is going to be something that you're going to want to be doing all the time. You're going to want to test your pH before you even get a fish.
We use the exact same water for our Africans and our discus. And it's all about consistency. Yes, one generally will need a higher pH and the other one a lower pH. But if you have consistency, you don't need, well,
we'll see.
You don't need to, I don't want to say you don't need to worry about it, but the most important thing is to keep a consistent pH. Even with discus, they're in a high pH, but they're from Hans, they're Stenker discus, they are bred to be in a higher pH, so it's okay.
That is, I'm so glad you brought that up. She's a genius, folks. This is why I keep her around. I mean,
Yeah.
she has a hard time tolerating me, and I don't blame her, but I keep her around because she's a genius. That brings up another thing that I want to talk about that I did not plan on talking about, but I think it's appropriate for this conversation. And this is something that is up for debate. And if you disagree with me on this, that's fine. We can still be friends. I won't call you names, I promise, unless your name is Fishy Biz or Aquafunk. I'll call him a name too.
What about Bob?
Bob, well, I always call Bob names,
All right.
so that wouldn't be anything
I
new.
just didn't want you to leave him out.
Fishy Biz isn't even here, that jerk. I'm sitting here breaking his balls, and he's not even here.
He might be watching. He's probably lurking.
No, he wouldn't be here and not saying anything. I mean, you haven't met the guy. So, again, this is something that is up for debate, and it's fine. We're not going to debate it here, though. I'm going to make my statement, and you can agree, you can disagree. That's fine, but then we will move on. There are a lot of people in fish keeping, and I think that this is probably a new fish keeper thing. It's a thing that is a tendency of a new fish keeper to want to go overboard to match water parameters that a fish would encounter in the wild. And let me just tell you, there are situations where that is actually the absolute wrong thing to do. Case in point, those absolutely gorgeous discus that are in the tank right behind Marie. Those fish were born and they were spawned and born and raised in German tap water that has a pH of 7.6. Now, if you read all the discus books, they're going to tell you what? 6, 6.2. They're going to tell you need to fill your filters up with peat moss. You need to have all of these big pieces of driftwood in there. You need to use buffers if you need to. You need to get that pH down. With those particular fish, that could actually be a problem. But everybody brings that up when it comes to discus because Asian discus are typically also bred in a lower pH. And German discus are bred in a higher pH. Completely different fish. Mixing them might be a problem because they're from two completely different areas. The point that I'm trying to make here, folks, is it's more important to try to replicate where your fish was bred than it is where your fish would, what the water your fish would be in if they were in the wild.
Right.
Okay? Because a great example, I just skipped on here. I hope everything's okay. All of these fish behind me, not the Africans, but all of the fish in the 360-gallon tank, every single one of them are Amazonian fish. These are fish that in the wild, they would be in that very low, not super ultra low, but lower pH, 6.5, 6.6, somewhere around there. Every single one of those fish is in 7.6 tap water that we get out of our tap here. Why is that okay? Because these aren't wild caught fish. These fish have never seen the Amazon. They don't know what the Amazon is, and they'll never know what the Amazon is or what the water parameters are like in the Amazon. So it doesn't matter to them. They're happier because they're in the same kind of water that they were in when they were bred. And my camera just froze again. Everything froze. I don't know if that's freezing on screen or if it's just happening on my computer.
I don't see it on my end.
Not really sure what's happening here, but yay for technology. So the point that I'm trying to make is if your fish, I thought of the perfect analogy just now. Who's the genius? I thought of the perfect analogy, and he's not here to be able to enjoy it. I'm going to use Fishy Biz in an analogy, but the point that I'm trying to make, let me get that light out of this shot here.
Yeah, they're saying you're skipping. Candy did too.
Yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful thing that I have here. I don't see it on my end, so I don't know. But you know what? I'm just going to keep on going, and we're going to hope that everything is okay. Stream keeps skipping. That might be an internet issue. I don't know. So I like this analogy, so I'm going to go with it. I met Fishy Biz. You still with me? What are you doing?
He was stuck.
I met Fishy Biz at Aquashella. He's a good dude. I like that guy. He's a school teacher. He's a cool guy. Before we get into this, Chelsea Riley, to go along with this, any smells that stand out? Okay, we'll get into that. That's interesting. Thank you for the $2. Bob Kaler with another $10 with a cheerleader pair. Hung Chow used to do weekly water changes. Plant grew well, but when I started doing it 3 or 4 weeks, my plants exploded in growth. Ammonia nitrite still 0. See, that's what I was talking about before, about figuring out your process and figuring out your maintenance schedule. And then Joel JZ with the New Zealand $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much for that. So, what did Melissa say that everybody's... I chipped a tooth on my water once.
Ooh.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not getting that, but that's okay. Fishy Biz is a good dude. I like that guy. I enjoyed hanging out with him at Aquashella. He is an African-American gentleman, a very big one too. Like, you know, you wouldn't want to mess with this guy because, you know, he could mess you up. I don't care who you are. He's a big boy. And I don't mean fat. He's not fat at all. He's just a big guy. Look at his videos. He's a big dude. So if I invited him over to our house which I would, because he's a good guy. I like him. I wouldn't invite Mr. 3000 though, because that guy's crazy.
Aw,
But
poor guy.
but if I invite Fishy Biz over, I hope this doesn't get me in trouble. And he comes over to my house, and he comes in the house, and he's like, "Oh my God, John, what is it with your house? It's 110 degrees in this house." And I said, "Well, Drew, you're African American. I thought maybe you wanted it hot because, Africa, it's hot." Think about how insulted he would be, and think about how uncomfortable he would be, because he would say, "Dummy, I'm not from Africa. My ancestors are, but I'm not from Africa. I'm from Missouri." You understand what I'm getting at here? I realize that is an extreme analogy, but that's kind of the same thing. If you spend all this time and all this money and get all this creativity to create the perfect environment for your discus at a pH of 6.4 and everything's great, you got peat all up in your sump and you've got driftwood and you got all these plants and the pH is absolutely perfect, and then you put your discus in there that you bought from Discus Hans that are used to being in a water pH of 7.6. What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to absolutely murder those fish? Probably not, but they're going to be pretty miserable, aren't they, until they adapt to that. It's going to take some time. So don't do what I said I did to Drew, Fishy Biz. Don't do that. Put them in an environment that they're used to, not the environment that their ancestors came from, because they don't know the environment that their ancestors came from. They don't have any clue what that is. So let's keep them in the water that they're in. Now, how do you find out what that is? Well, you can be pretty confident that if your fish come from Florida, they're in a harder water. Doesn't matter what kind of fish they are. They're particularly like southern Florida, south of Miami, which is where a lot of the farms are. They're going to have harder water there, 7.6, 7.8, way up above neutral. And whether they're from Asia, it might be different. It would pay to help to find out where they come from if you want to be that particular. But you can always shoot for somewhere around neutral and you'd probably be fine. But if you do have that information that you can get from your supplier, your fish store, whatever it is, if you can find out what they're coming from, that'll definitely help. The thing is, the water that's at the farm and the water that's at the fish store and that the water that's in your tank can all be very, very different. So we want to try to make that transition as smooth as possible. 7.8 here in Northwest Florida. Okay, see, yeah, Florida's got it good down there. So anyway, that's kind of my rant on pH and all of these things. I'm not saying you're doing a bad thing if you adjust your pH to suit what the fish would have in the wild, but it could also not be a good thing. Now, if you're wanting to breed these fish, my statement is completely squashed. And if you are getting wild caught fish, obviously what I just said does not apply because they're wild. So they're coming from the wild. You're going to want to match the water that is from the Amazon or from Lake Malawi or whatever it is. So obviously everything I just said makes no sense if you're buying wild caught fish. But the reality is 95% of the fish that we buy in this hobby are captive bred fish, either in Asia or here in the United States. And if it's discus, a lot of times you'll see them from Europe. So anyway, that's enough of that. So what conditioners do I need for African tank, a regular community tank, or a South American tank? Well, they're all pretty much going to be the same. But I think what you're asking about is buffers. Like, if I have an African tank, am I going to need to buffer the water? We just talked about that. But as far as water conditioners go, I'm a firm believer in API, Fritz, CCAM. I said CCAM on live YouTube.
You said
CCAM. There's a bottle of it right there. We have all 3 of those brands in here in our fish room right now. We use all 3 of them regularly. They're all perfectly fine. Do you have a chlorine tester? You probably don't. So you just put those in the water and you just feel like they're going to work because you trust the brands and everything else. I'm going to be completely honest. I have never had a problem with any water conditioner. So there you go. I have an RO with deionization. If I use that for the Africans, how much buffer and how do I know if I have enough in the water? You will have directions in the package, and you will, if you're going to want it, if you're starting with water that is just 100% pure because you've removed everything from it, you probably are going to want to start getting into TDS and all of that other stuff because you're going to be starting from scratch. So you're going to need all the information that you can get so that you know what kind of buffers to put in there and how much. And the directions will be on the bottle of whatever kind of buffer you're using. If you're using an actual pre-mixed buffer like cichlid salts and things like that. But if you're using a bunch of different things to mix together, that's impossible for me to tell you right here on live streams. I've done it with Epsom salt and baking soda and all that kind of stuff, but just buy the stuff. It's so much easier to do that. Then maybe touch on your favorite topic, carbon, yes or no. If yes, all the time or just situational. Carbon is one of those things that is different depending on who you talk to. Every fish keeper is going to have a different opinion on carbon. I am not against carbon. I'm also not somebody that believes you must have it. I don't think there's carbon in either one of those tanks.
No.
I don't have any in my African tank, and I think I might still have some in the 360. It's one of those things. I like it. I honestly think that the African tank, you can't really see it on camera right now, but a little brown algae in there. The water's looking a little musty. I just did a water change in that tank like 4 days ago, but I've got 24 fish in there. They're all big and they all eat a lot. So, you know, the water gets a little cloudy sooner than I would like it to. So using carbon in there would actually be a good thing. I think it would crisp it up a little bit. I just haven't put it back in there. The carbon's exhausted and I need to replenish it. Can plant fertilizers for Anubias harm a Hap peacock tank? Wow, that's way off topic. It's not going to harm the fish, but the fish are going to harm the plants, so don't do it. They're going to rip them all up. So
I was going to say, I
don't
wouldn't
waste your time.
Put Anubias in there.
Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful, but put those Anubias and stuff in your beta tanks and your angel tanks and stuff like that. Don't put them in the tanks that the fish are going to rip them up. So carbon, I'm not somebody that's going to tell you carbon is a bad thing. There are some purposes for carbon that is great. Like if you medicate a tank and you've got a bunch of medication in there and you want to flush that out, you can either do it by way of water changes or you can put carbon in there. It'll neutralize all of the medications. I don't know why I'm sitting here doing this while I'm talking, but that's a purpose for carbon. But I also like carbon. Just a lot of times what I have found is that your tank is it's just a little off. And you put carbon in there and it just gives you that extra little bit, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion. We're already an hour into this. It's just time flies when you
I know.
Don't stop talking ever, because that's what I do. What dechlorinator do you use and recommend? I use sodium trisulfate. It's so cheap and I think it works well. I don't use that only because I just buy it. I buy water conditioner from the store, or I get lucky and I have friends like Jay Wilson that whenever I'm at a show, he's like throwing me 4 bottles of Fritz and stuff like that. We're getting ready to go up to API. Hopefully they give us some too, you know. So that's one of the perks of being a YouTuber, I guess. But I am a big fan of the API. I'm a fan of Fritz, Seachem. Fluval's got a good water conditioner. They're all good. So, you know, I think that's the second time I've said that. I think the probably the most widely used and widely renowned water conditioner is probably Prime. I think that's Like,
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, Prime and Stress Coat.
I was going to say stress coat. That's what I always used back when we.
I love
it's
Stress
the first
Coat.
thing I would go for when we had the fish store was stress coat.
I have Stress Coat. It's actually scientifically proven to have reduced stress levels in tanks by 40%. I'm not doing a commercial for API. I'm just telling you what they told me at the Aquatic Experience. But they actually have like labs where they do tests and all of this, and they do tests that are years in the making. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, if I had to pick my favorites, it would be the three that I keep saying. It would be Fritz, because I really like their ACCR. I like that a lot. The powder formed, I really like that one, which is ammonia chloramine remover, ACCR. And I really like Prime, and I really, really, really like Stress Coat. If I had to pick from the three, you know what? I'd pick Stress Coat. And the reason why is because it's everywhere and it's cheaper. And it's only like $1 cheaper than Prime, but you know, you can buy Stress Coat at Walmart. You might be able to buy Stress Coat at Food Lion or Giant, Target.
I don't know.
Anyway.
That. I guess it just depends.
Let's see. Okay, so he's talking about the sodium trisulfate, and he's got enough to last him 5 or 6 years. So I'd say you're probably doing pretty good. Okay, so this is another one. And this is a good question because it's a very common question. And I don't know. We're going to both answer this. I'm going to get your opinion on this because I know how we both do it, but I don't know the justification behind it. The question is when to add dechlorinator.
Oh.
Because if this was a perfect world and you had all the equipment necessary and you could do this the absolute most efficient way, you would have a way to have there be no chlorine or chloramine in the water ever before it's introduced into your tank. And you would have to have large vessels of some type that you could have the water in, that you could process it. And if you're doing that, you could have like Hans, where he's got those big 275-pound drums that he has pumps hooked up to that's constantly circulating water through. Costs a fortune to do something like that. But you could also do it in one of those. We have one right there, but you can't see it. Rubbermaid 35 or 34 gallon like construction trash cans. I would show you, but no. You know what I'm talking about though. It's the Brute gray big Rubbermaid trash can. And then you can buy the little wheel assembly to go on the bottom. That's exactly what we have over there. I actually had one of those. It's that one. I had it in my basement when I had my saltwater tank. I had an RODI system down there, and I had the water drain from the RO system into the trash can, and then there was a stopper. What do you call it? A stopper. It stopped it. Valve, a stopper valve.
You're so
I'm
funny.
drawing a blank, but the water would hit a stopper and it would cut it off, and so it would not overflow the trash can. And the hose, you see it, the blue one? The hose is still sticking out of the side of the trash can.
I can't believe you still have the same one. It's crazy.
I'm not going to throw that trash can away. It's perfect. And it'll still hold water up to the very top. But float valve, thank you, Mark Dibble. Stupid person I am. Is it Dibble? Yep, Dibble. Yeah, thank you for that. I just brain fart. What do you want? So I had that go into there, and then I had a small power head in the bottom of that was constantly circulating the water, and that's where I would add my salt and everything. And so I had a constant source of salt water. The problem was you don't often need salt water, particularly if your tank is a 24-gallon saltwater tank, fish only, and you have a 35-gallon trash can. It's kind of a waste to have that be water, because if you've never kept a saltwater tank before, if the water evaporates, and it evaporates very fast in a saltwater tank, you don't refill it with salt water because the salt doesn't evaporate, just the water does. So you replenish it with fresh water. So it's not like I'd be pulling from that drum all the time. The only time I would be pulling from that was when I would actually do a water change where you're removing water and then putting the fresh salt water back into it. If your water evaporates a couple inches and you go to top it off with salt water, you're going to mess your salinity all up. So this isn't a lesson in saltwater tanks. I don't have any. I'm just saying it didn't make sense for me to do that anymore. So I ended up just Xing that out completely. And I did that in 5-gallon buckets, and I would mix it up before I would do the water change. Usually like the night before, I would put a heater in there. I would have it all ready and perfect before I would do my water change. And that is my long-winded way of saying that's the perfect world scenario, is to be able to have water that is processed and has the chlorine and chloramine removed before it ever goes into the tank. But how am I going to do that for this tank right here? If you include the sump, we're talking about 400 gallons of water. If I do a 50% water change, where am I going to store 200 gallons of water? The answer is I'm not. And then you add to that, this is about 270 gallons with the sump. So you're talking about another 135. You're talking about 75 gallons for her 2 tanks over there. What am I going to do? Put a water tower in my backyard? Nobody has, or at least nobody that I know has a system large enough to store water that's already been dechlorinated, ready to go into the tank. It's all brought up to temperature. So we end up doing it straight from our tap, or depending on what kind of fish you have, you might fill it up from a hose, a spigot out in your yard, whatever. If that's the case, then what you end up doing is putting your water conditioner in. I do it while I'm filling it up. And it's been a habit of mine for 20 something years. I have my Python and I've got the water, pouring into it from the hose. And I don't know why I do it this way. It just makes me feel better. I dump the water conditioner into the stream as it's going into the tank. It doesn't make a difference, but that's just the way I do it. And if you are, he did ask in here, how much? I'm going to say this and then you're going to talk because my voice is hurting because I haven't stopped talking this whole time. You're not here for support. You are a co-host. I always treat for the entire tank. And what that means is this is 400 gallons, including the sump. If I do 50%, I'm not going to put what the label would say for 200 gallons. I'm going to put what the label says for 400 gallons. That's just the way I've always done it. And I've never had a problem doing water changes that way.
Wow.
If you're talking about big tanks like these, you do go through water conditioner considerably faster than if you did it what is probably the right way. But to me, I feel like overkill in that situation has never hurt anything.
We do things a little differently then. When I do my water changes, I do half in my discus tank every week. But when I do it, I stir so much stuff up that I feel like even once I get down to halfway before I add the water, I feel like I really need to make sure I put that, stress coat in or prime in before I add the water, just to get it kind of in there in case, you know what I mean? Like, because there's so much stuff stirred up. It's like I want to make sure I'm taking care of a situation if something's going on, and then I add the water to it. And then it just kind of goes all over and, gets all through the tank. But even when I do my discus tank and my beta sorority tank at the same time, I'll let it sit in there until the other one's filled up. I don't do it like a minute before or 5 minutes before or during. It could be in there for 20 minutes before I even add water. And I've never had a problem. So...
Well, and you're not talking about the water changes that you do. You're not doing massive water changes.
Well, and see, like, let's just say I'm using prime, because you would use a capful for 50 gallons. So I do a cap and a half since I'm only doing, half of my tank. I just I don't see the sense in doing the full amount for the tank. You do the full amount, I don't. And that's okay.
I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at that Steenfort guy. Go ahead. Ever kept osteoglossum birchcrossum? He's messing with me because we were talking about scientific names the other night.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm pretty is that, I don't know. I want to say, is that it? Is that bikers?
Just
is that what it is?
No.
Because I don't think I have. But I'd like to know what that is because I'm not a smart person, Bob. I don't do scientific names.
Yeah, just say the dummy version. We do dummy version
Osteoglossum.
names.
I mean, that is the arowana family, isn't it? Come on, Bob. I don't troll you on your live stream, except the other night I did, but I don't usually.
Did you?
Did I troll him? I don't think I trolled you, did I, Bob?
wasn't here.
I know I said some fun things, but I don't think they were troll type things. But somebody needs to search that and put in there what it is, because I want to say that's either bikers, B-shars, is that how you say it? Or maybe it's just, I don't know. Thanks for getting us off track there, Bob. Thank you. Thank you for the $2. Somebody asked earlier about silver arowana. See, there you go. I knew that. But then I did say biker, didn't I? I call them bikers. Some people say bikers. Bishers, B-shars. Who cares? Somebody asked earlier about when they're going to get me back into breeding African cichlids. I loved doing it. I don't know that I will do it again, only because what am I going to do with all the fry? I don't have any friends. And I'm not going to ship them all over the place. I mean, and when I do something, I don't do it halfway. I go like all in, and before you know it, we'd have 380 tanks again.
And another fish store.
I'm not going to do that again.
That could be bad.
How much did you have to pay for those albino arowanas? They seem to be more expensive ones. I wish they were albinos. They're definitely not. They are just silvers. And they were, I got a dislike as soon as I said that. They were like happy when we had albinos, but when they found out we don't have albinos, they said, forget this. I'm disliking this.
Funny.
What was I saying? Yeah, they're just silvers and they are gorgeous. It's just too bad this camera sucks and you can't see them. They look like
they're growing quick too.
They are growing good. They're actually kind of funny. I'm thinking about, there's another dislike. Thank you. I get a notification on my screen when we get likes and dislikes.
Honestly, you want to know what's on my screen? 19 thumbs up and no thumbs down.
It's funny because when like both times now, when somebody's done that, somebody just changed their dislike to a like, which proves that the dislike button is a complete waste of time and waste of space. But anyway, it's kind of fun because every time I say thanks for the dislike, like 3 or 4 likes happen. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, I'm going to stop paying attention to that now. Don't even remember what I was saying. They are growing very fast. And, but I can tell you, we just got like 12 likes.
That's cool.
They did have a platinum arowana, which is an albino arowana. They had one at the store that I bought 2 of these from, and it was $500. And it was about the size of my big one right there. Which one's the big one?
The big one right there.
They're all getting pretty close in size. I mean, they're kind of rounding out, which is kind of interesting.
The 2 are still the same, but the 1 is taking off. Definitely growing faster.
Wait a minute. We have a conspiracy. Oh.
What?
That was Bob just texted me. That was not Bob. But it is Bob. It has to be. It's Steinbot Aquatics.
I don't get it.
The super chat that just came through is Steinbot or Steenbot Aquatics, not Steenfot. That is hilarious. They even have Steenfat's logo, and it actually is the Steenfot logo. Bob, you know that's you. Stop texting me while I'm in the middle of a live stream.
That is so bizarre.
And listen to me. I remember now because I didn't troll Bob. I thought it was kind of nice what I did for him the other night. I was sitting in the family room because I was writing scripts, and I was sitting in my recliner, and I had my laptop in my lap, and the TV had Bob's stream on it.
Oh my God, Bob, your face was like this big.
But it hadn't started yet. It was like 3 minutes before it started.
Oh.
I sent him a picture. I'll show you the picture right here. I'm going to put it on camera, Bob. I'm going to put you on the news.
He was all over our TV, and we have a big TV. So I was like, why is Bob on our TV?
I sent Bob this picture, which is my laptop in my lap with the TV above it that had his thumbnail on it because the stream hadn't started yet. So I wasn't writing a script. I was editing my video for the next day.
You lied.
Well, I was just wrong. I was editing the filter video. So I sent him that picture, but he didn't see that picture until he had already been in for like 5 minutes. And so he said in the live stream, why is he texting me during the live stream? The jerk. He knew I sent that before the stream started.
So funny.
Cichlid Central is buying aquarium water at the store a ripoff. Yes, unless your water source is bad. And I've been there, my friend. Believe me, I've been there. Usually the fish stores that are selling water are selling it for the saltwater people. It's either RO water or it is pre-mixed salt water. I've gone to other people's houses to fill up buckets to do water changes in my tanks, but I've never paid for water because that's just kind of crazy. But you know, if you don't have any other choice because your water is garbage, hey, you got to do what you got to do. But that's that. See, now Fish Tank Barn is trolling me. How dare him? I thought Mike and I were friends. I let him drive me around in Chicago.
You skipped Michael St.
I know. I'm going to get it. But I let you drive me around. I let you chauffeur me around.
Oh, please.
And he says, okay, I got to read Michael St. John's first. For John's super fund me for albino arowana. Hey, I was close that day. I was close that day to getting that one as opposed to the two, but I just really I wanted 3. And, you know, there's going to be people that are going to say I'm crazy. I plan on recording a video about arowanas this Saturday, and it'll upload Sunday. Last minute stuff. What am I telling you? I mean, I'm overwhelmed, but it's going to be talking about how powerful these fish are. And maybe we'll take another walk out in nature and do that. A lot of people commented very positively about the fact that I was out at the water when I did the beginning of that video the other day. Did you even watch that?
I did.
Okay, good.
You should do one standing in the rain, walking in the rain, 30 degrees. That's pretty natural.
I was thinking more the trail, you know, the Heritage Trail. We'll have to see. John, have you kept that fish? Gyrodinichides smiths multhiradius. I've actually bred them successfully, and no. I don't even know what that is. You're being a jerk, Mike. How dare you?
It's so funny. I've seen 2 people in here tonight with my last name.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is.
I think there was a Brian Conroy earlier.
Big thanks to both of you. I've used so many of your useful tips over the years that have both saved me money and fish's lives. Well, she did it, Stephanie, because you share the same last name. You may not know that, but her last name is indeed Conroy. I call her Lisa Marie, but her name is Lisa Marie Conroy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you need to go ahead and do the your video shout out because we've only got 11 minutes left before we go to rack.
Yeah. Don't you remember when I messaged you yesterday and I said, John, we have a huge problem?
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, oh my God, what? And I was
and
like,
no, wait a minute. Because think about this, folks, okay? Yesterday was a good day. We got some good news yesterday.
I
we
thought
got
that
some,
was today.
We got good news today, too,
Oh, okay.
that we can't talk about yet.
Okay.
But you'll know soon enough, you, the viewers. And it was a great day. And then you sent me that. And it made me think immediately. Her text was, we have a problem. There was no smiley face. There was no sunglasses. There was no eggplant. There was no nothing. It was, we have a problem. And so
Stop.
I was telling myself what I always tell myself, well, I'm just not allowed to be happy.
Oh, stop.
And I was very scared. But then you go ahead and tell me what you were talking about.
Well, I was a little late watching a video, but once I saw it, I knew I must have this. And it happened to be Corey's video on that beta tank setup, like with all of those 5-gallon beta tanks, and they were like, well, no, they weren't 5 gallons.
They're smaller than that.
Yeah, weren't they 2 gallons? But they
I
had
think
the
they're 2.5.
Yeah, but the water system, it's a constant, flow because of the water turnover. So it's okay to do it that way. But I was like, I want that. I must have that. And he's like, why? And I was like, because I want 270 betas. And he's like, why? And I was like, because I must have this.
Did you even say what the video was?
It was the video on all the beta tanks.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I can't recall the title, but I mean, you got to know. Candy knows. Candy
It was
has
like
to know.
2 videos ago from Corey where he talked about the new beta setup.
I'm so behind on videos, but that's the one that I was like, wow, this is such a great video.
I can't even concentrate because of our squeaking chihuahua out there. Mike, don't apologize. I was giving you a hard time. I mean, I was having some fun with that. Trust me. You have to go a lot farther than that to require an apology to me. Jason Douglas says, with the $5, what are ideal water parameters for Oscar breeding? That is a question that is difficult to answer because I've never done it. And no offense, I've never wanted to do it, even though Oscars are one of my absolute favorite fish. We know that because of the video that I just put out the other day. Loved that video too, by the way. It was a lot of fun to make it out there at the water. But I would imagine you would, remember, we talked about this earlier, that you are going to want to try to mimic what they would have in nature if you're going to breed them. So you would want a lower pH, softer water, and you're going to need a mammoth size tank. I don't even know if something like 150 gallon would be big enough to breed Oscars, but I could be wrong. Maybe that would be okay. But what I've been told, and again, this could be totally wrong, and I'm spreading it all around the internet to 291 people. I've heard that Oscars can get a little violent during the breeding thing, during the courtship
You
and
said
all of
the
that.
breeding thing.
I got to keep this G-rated
I
here.
know.
And I can't think because of that dumb dog. I wish I knew why he was freaking out like that. We have a Chihuahua that squeaks when he's not happy. He just squeaks. It's terrible. So I would want there to be plenty of room. I would want there to be very minimal decorations in the tank. And you're probably going to need to have some type of a tank divider in there. But you know what? I am not an Oscar breeder. I'm sorry. You paid me $5 to get my opinion on breeding Oscars. And it's unfortunately not something I've ever done. So I'm not confident in telling you how to do that. But I didn't want to ignore you. Just know that you probably don't have a tank big enough to do it, I would imagine. It's not like breeding arowanas, but still, you're going to need a big enough tank. Hung Chow always has interesting things to say because it's like, is he saying F you to me? Rummy Nose or Cardinal Testers? Well, F you too. I think what he's saying is effing love you.
Maybe, yeah.
But it just looks like F you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're having some fun. Me, it's going to be Rummy Nose all day long.
Yeah, Rummy Nose.
I love Rummy Nose. I love Cardinals too. But if I had to pick between the two, it's going to be Rummy Nose. And I'm going to go take care of that dog. So the camera's going on you. Nope, went on me.
So I finally get to talk.
Yep.
Awesome. Okie dokie here. So Joel Pina, Lisa, make a wall of betas with Corey's system. I would love to do that. We found out yesterday that my son is, well, he is approved for buying a house, and most likely the middle to end of next month they will be moving out, and we're going to have an entire basement. Like, how many square feet?
Between 16 and 1800, somewhere around there.
And that's plenty big enough for me to have my beta set up, right? I mean, I really feel like we could get an even bigger setup.
Oh, come
than
on.
Corey.
What do we need to one-up Corey? Do you ever think we're going to
I'm
ever be
just
able to one-up
no,
Corey?
No. I don't mean it to one-up him, but if I really wanted it, why not? We have enough room, right? Okay, I wasn't saying it to one-up because I wouldn't be selling them. He does it to sell them, and that makes sense. Me, I just have them to have them. But anyway, whatever. We have a lot of plans. We have a lot of things that we're thinking about doing.
What did somebody ask about that? What brought that up?
I brought that up because you walked away and I was able to talk.
Well, I talked about that. I think it was during, I don't know when it was. It might have been Thanksgiving. I think it was Thanksgiving when you were gone. I talked about that, and I thought you'd be mad at me.
Thank you, Barbara Jackson.
I thought you'd be mad at me for talking about that because you're like, oh God, we don't. You're excited about them moving out, and all that. I'm not excited about them moving out.
They're moving out. Get this: their house is literally 5 minutes away. It's perfect, and it's on Lisa Lane.
It's true.
Hello.
And I don't even think it's 5 minutes away.
I know
It's 2 miles away. They
so
live.
close.
They will be living right behind that Petco that we're always talking about, in a beautiful house.
On my road. It's called my name.
Super happy for
gorgeous.
them. They're super excited. They're living in a basement right now. You'll see it soon enough. It's a very nice basement, but still.
It's bigger than the apartment they had in California, though.
But it's still a basement.
Yeah.
They have to walk through the house to get down there, and
They'd use the back door too to the basement sometimes. So.
But
Because they have their own entrance.
It's still
It's
a basement.
still a basement.
And
I
it's
get it.
still your mom's house and your mother-in-law's house. And, I mean, so I get it. I understand it. I'm glad that they're moving so close. And I
Me
cannot wait to get
too.
started on that project because, I mean, look, we're talking about starting a brand new series. And then we're talking about them moving out, which that's not what we're excited about. But then we get to start a whole new thing.
I get my beta section, my whole beta wall. And
Allie
stuff.
contributed just now $10 to Lisa's beta wall.
Yes, Allie, thank you. It's going to go, I'm putting it towards my beta wall, trust me.
Jason Douglas said, I will contribute $2. Thank you. Anyway, and listen, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to give you more information than that on breeding Oscars. I think somebody, and it may have even been you, I think I saw it flash up there, that somebody said, why wouldn't you want to breed Oscars? It's not that I wouldn't want to. I think it would be very cool because I love them so much, but I don't want 500 Oscars. That's the thing. I love the fish. They are one of my all-time favorites, but I don't have the ability to have like 300 of them and then have to get rid of them and all of this. It's too much. So as fun as it would be and as much as I would enjoy it, no, the end part is just something that I'm not too keen to get into. KD Colonel Call, I don't know what that is. Before I put them in the other tank, I checked. All right. I think the beginning of your message might have gotten cut off there because I don't really understand what that means. But thank you so much for the $5 super chat. We've got 1 minute left before we have to send everybody over to Rack. You need to come up with the stream raid hashtag. Everybody's going to go over to Rack. What are they all going to say?
I don't know.
While you're thinking of it, folks, click that like button because, 187, really?
Let me think.
Because I could just go with how dare you again, but that's already been done. So
Let's go.
Whip's World. If you want to know, that's is that Zach Wilde in your thumbnail, or in your anyway?
Oh yeah, I like that one.
He is the stream
I got
right
it.
after us.
Beta rack.
Okay, I like it. Hashtag Beta Rack. That's 2 T's, ladies and gentlemen. So head over to that. Was that Zach Wilde or was that Cliff Burton? Who was that in your avatar there, guy that was asking about who is Rack? Is that Cliff Burton? I got to find out. Or maybe that's him and he just looks like a mixture of Zach Wilde and Cliff Burton. I don't know. I don't know who that is. But anyway, head over to the River Life podcast. There has been a couple of people that have put the link to his stream in the chat here. So click on that. Go over there. Don't give him a hard time like you do me, because he's way nicer than I am. He's a good guy. Go over there. Treat him real good. He is a sweetheart. So say hi and make sure you say hashtag Beta Rack.
Yeah.
It's perfect because his name's
His
Rack
name
and everything.
is Rack. Beta Rack. It's
So,
perfect. And
there you go.
Everybody tell Angela hi too, because that's Mrs. Rack and she's awesome.
Her name is River Wife. It's not Mrs. Rack.
I say what I want.
Thank you all for hanging out. Sorry I talked too much.
Good night.
Next week it's going to be all Lisa, none of me.
Right.